Okay, so we want to factor this. This is two terms. Two terms. Okay, so how do we factor? Step number one. Always the first step on factoring. Factoring means, unmultiply it or find out what it was before it was multiplied to become 2x squared minus 2. So we ask, is there anything in common? This is the first question on every factor problem. Anything in common to these two terms? Yes. In this case, yes, they both have a 2 in common. 2 goes into both of them. So what do you do in that case? You put the common part in the front and you put the one big parenthesis, with the blank and the minus in the middle so that it would multiply and go back. So I'll say, oh, okay. Put the 2 in the front, the one big parenthesis, a blank and a blank with a minus in the middle. Then what? And then, what I don't know, just hit there. And then 2 times what would go back to 2x squared? Well, x squared. And 2 times what would go back to 2? Oh, just 1, huh? That making sense? 2 times x squared and 2 times 1 goes back to 2x squared minus 2. Okay, that's step 1. And then step number 2. Now you leave the common in the front and write 2 parentheses. So I'm going to leave the common sitting in the front and do the 2 parentheses. And that's all about multiply. Remember, that's how we handle 2 terms. The third, we're used to 3 terms. And if the third term, if there was something in the middle, that would be the add. Remember how it's multiply, add, multiply. That's what we did in the last section. Multiply, add, multiply. And the middle term would be, the numbers that add, but we don't have a third term. It's missing. So it's just multiply. So again, leave the 2 in the front. That stays there. And then write the 2 parentheses. Okay. And then we're going to say, okay, x squared. So front times front to multiply to be x squared. What's that? Well, x and x. That's easy. And then in the back, what's going to multiply to be 1? Well, that's just 1 times 1. 1's positive, 1's negative, because positive times negative makes negative 1, doesn't it? And that's it. We're done. That's the answer. Let me write that in up here. That is our answer. It's 2x plus 1, x minus 1. You can switch the order. You can put the minus 1 first and the plus 1. The order doesn't matter. That's it. Let's check it just to prove it's true. Not required, but I think it's instructive. How do you check something like this to see if you really got it right? You can grade your own next test. You'll know when you're right beforehand. You leave the 2 in the front for a minute and start by multiplying these guys. Right? Start with the parentheses. Multiply out the parentheses. Okay, so we're going to get, this guy goes boom and a boom. We get x squared minus 1x, and then boom and a boom, plus 1x minus 1, right? Tracking me there, 1x, and 1 times 1 is 1. It's negative because it's positive and negative. All right, and then notice what happens. Cancels out in the middle. That's why there's only 2 terms, because, and bring down this minus 1 right here. Right? Do you see what happened there? These guys canceled in the middle, plus negative 1 and positive 1x, negative 1x and positive 1x. Cancel. That's why there's only 2 terms on that middle step, because the 2 middle ones became 0. Okay, now it's the 2's turn to go in from the outside. So this 2's going to go boom, boom. You get 2x squared minus 2. Check. That's exactly how it started. Check right there. See, it went all the way back, proving that this really is the right answer. This really does multiply out to go back to this. So in other words, if we're saying, what was this thing before it was multiplied? It was that. And that's very important in higher level math. You need to take things like this and break them down, higher level math and science, to find out what they were before they were multiplied. That's why we're doing all this. There we go.